It has been several weeks since Itachi took over as Jonin-sensei for Team 7, and to say the experience has been a challenging one for the Genin trio would be an understatement. Having spent far more time in the Black Ops wing of Konoha's Shinobi program than the regular armed forces, Itachi runs his squad like an Anbu unit, wasting no time on frivolities like the bell test, and instead assessing the practical skills, strengths, and deficits of his subordinates. Truthfully, what he finds is suboptimal. With Sasuke, Naruto, and Sakura not even knowing how to water walk or tree climb, this becomes the first order of business, as basic traversal is essential for any type of shinobi work. Through this, he learns that Sakura is surprisingly adept in the area of chakra control, and not only that, has the mental capacity to figure out and explain the principle behind it, a set of traits which suggest to Itachi that she may have the makings of a genjutsu prodigy. Thankfully, he is the greatest practitioner of genjutsu in the Leaf, perhaps even in the world at this point, and so is well equipped to help her. The first step of this comes in teaching Sakura to create a genjutsu, a feat which is easier said than done, since unlike him, she lacks a Sharingan to act as a focus. For this reason, he is forced to start small, having her implement minor discrepancies from reality into her target's perception, such as making it appear as though her dress is blue rather than red, or that she is standing slightly away from where she really is. These should be enough to befuddle an average enemy long enough to create an opening for the girl to attack or escape, though Itachi knows that with proper training, this is only the beginning. Due to knowing Sasuke as well as he does, Itachi has no trouble identifying a path for him that will not only allow him to capitalize on his strengths, but also give him the power to keep himself and his teammates safe. And so it is that at the end of their first week as teacher and student, Itachi presents Sasuke with a gift, a Kodachi sword that he had made specifically for him. Though a short sword, the Kodachi is longer than the Tanto blades used by the Anbu, while also having the slight curvature of a katana, meaning it's designed for slashing rather than stabbing. Sasuke is enraptured by this present, thanking Itachi and drawing the sword to get a feel for its weight, but as he does, Itachi puts a hand on his little brother's wrists, warning him that a sword is a weapon, not a toy, and so should only be drawn when its wielder is prepared to kill with it. Sasuke says he understands, but in a more subdued tone, Itachi says that he doesn't. He can't. To take a life, even to protect that which is precious, changes a person irreparably, and if he has his way, that is something Sasuke will never have to learn for himself. Nonetheless, Itachi does begin instructing Sasuke in Kenjutsu. With the boy being a natural, thanks to his small frame, he's able to use his innate quickness to make up for any lack of physical strength. So much so that Itachi decides to couple this Kenjutsu training with a technique his dear departed best friend was a master of, the body flicker. Once more, Sasuke's prodigious talent allows him to pick up the basics without much trouble, and so soon he is combining the two, waiting to draw the Kodachi until he is in motion, so his opponent will not be able to preempt and block the attack. Finally, there is Naruto. His determination is easily his biggest strength, as even with the tree climbing and water walking exercises, he competed with Sasuke to see who could grasp it first. Though Sasuke did prevail, Naruto refused to let himself be discouraged, and managed to match his best friend and rival on the very next attempt. This fortitude of spirit is a valuable asset for what Itachi has planned for the blonde boy, and so one evening after training, he approaches Lord Third and requests permission to inform Naruto of the Kyuubi residing inside him, and the potential power he could gain through channeling the beast's strength. Hiruzen is admittedly hesitant, unsure if the brash boy has the temperament to control a tailed beast, though due to Itachi's Sharingan having the capability of bringing the Nine Tails under control if anything goes wrong, he does eventually agree. The next day, while Sasuke is doing sword drills and Sakura is practicing her genjutsu on a crow clone of Itachi, the real Itachi takes Naruto aside and begins to explain the story of how he became the Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails. In this, he explains that Naruto's mother was his previous Jinchuriki, though says nothing of the boy's father, this having been Hiruzen's single stipulation. He also tells Naruto that this is why he faced such discrimination growing up, since Danzo used him as a scapegoat, just like he did the Uchiha. Having heard the official history of the Uchiha massacre from Sasuke, this only gives Naruto another reason to hate Danzo, though he does wonder, had the old man not victimized both of them, would they still have become best friends? Such thoughts are soon forgotten, however, as Itachi tells Naruto to look into his eyes, since it's time to go pay the demon fox a visit. Though confused, Naruto complies, and as his sensei's eyes ignite with the crimson light of the Sharingan, Naruto finds himself in a place he's never been before. It is dimly lit, and when he looks down, he is grateful that Itachi-Sensei told him to water walk, as the ground is some sort of yellow fluid. Speaking of the Jonin, he is there too, and aside from them the only feature is a large cage up ahead. Lounging in the cage is a sinister sinister-looking nine-tailed fox, and when he sees the pair, he snarls, demanding to know what the brat and one-bearing Madara's cursed eyes are doing here. Itachi is the first to speak, taking the lead as he states they have come to request a portion of the fox's chakra be made available to Naruto. Though this is said respectfully, it is not a true request, and the Nine-Tails knows this. He also knows how powerless he is to refuse an Uchiha, and so reluctantly acquiesces, figuring that perhaps if he can get the brat dependent on his power, he can influence him enough to break the seal and set him free. In placid tones, Itachi states that he is glad the Kyuubi can be reasonable after all, though he will be keeping an eye on things to ensure the fox doesn't attempt anything untoward with his student. Itachi's eyes then flash once more, and an instant later, he and Naruto are out of the boy's subconscious. Naruto, for his part, is still a little bewildered by the experience, having never imagined there was a whole other guy living inside him, let alone that it's the terror of the village. But Itachi is more concerned with whether the demon fox upheld his end of the bargain, and so instructs Naruto to try drawing on the Kyuubi's chakra. To their slight surprise, this actually works, with Naruto producing a half-dozen shadow clones with ease. Itachi praises this as good, though to ensure the Kyuubi doesn't try anything funny, he wants the boy to work on his chakra control alongside Sakura. Naruto has no complaints here, thinking this might be an opportunity to get his crush alone long enough to ask her on a date. Unfortunately, the blonde is only half right, as while he does get some face-to-face time with Sakura as she coaches him on chakra control while Sasuke is running blade drills with Itachi. When he suggests they get ramen together, she yells as if she would go out with a dweeb like him, causing Naruto to jump back and yelp that she's scarier than that damn fox when she's mad. Overhearing this, Itachi approaches the pair, suggesting that Naruto may have a point there. Looking put out, Sakura asks what her sensei's implying, but Itachi says it's not a bad thing. Her strength is in misdirection and altering perception through genjutsu, so the ability to put an opponent off kilter is invaluable. As for Naruto, he might do well to find a way to capitalize on the fear many people, not just the people of Konoha, have for the Nine-Tails. Confused, Naruto asks how he's supposed to do that, since he thought his sensei said if he brought the beast out he'd die. It is Sasuke who has a suggestion here, having seen his brother and teammates talking and so come over to see what's the matter. Hearing his best friend's predicament, he suggests the transformation jutsu, saying Naruto was always good at that. Itachi says that this is a good idea, encouraging Naruto to do some experimentation with that, while urging Sakura to do likewise with her shock factor. And so it is that a week later, the pair each have a new trick to add to their arsenal. Sakura's is a variation of the Death Mirage jutsu, where by throwing cherry blossoms, she's able to create an illusion of that which will at first excite the target, only for that joy to turn to shock and horror moments later when the illusion suddenly shifts. Meanwhile, Naruto has devised a creative use of the transformation jutsu, whereby gathering a dozen shadow clones he's able to turn all of them into a facsimile of the Nine-Tails. While this does not provide any particular combat advantage, the sight of a giant snarling demon fox is certainly intimidating. This, coupled with Sasuke's growing proficiency with both kenjutsu and the body flicker, fill Itachi with pride, and so after much consideration, he finally feels that his squad are ready for a mission outside the village. Approaching Hiruzen, Itachi requests a chance to take his genin on a C-rank mission, and having the utmost faith in the young man, Hiruzen is happy to grant the request, assigning them an escort mission to the Land of Waves. Naturally, Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura are delighted when their sensei tells them the big news, with the boys playfully teasing each other they're gonna be the one who takes down the most bad guys. Itachi quickly quashes that idea though, when he reminds them that this is a real mission, so they should not take it lightly, since any time a shinobi leaves the security of the village, there is no guarantee they will return alive, so they must be prepared in both body and mind. This puts something of a dampener on the mood, but nonetheless, all three genin are back to high spirits by the time they assemble the following morning outside the village gates. Here they are introduced to Tazuna, their client, with him being an unremarkable old man who they must return to his home. Naruto is a little disappointed by this mundane task, but Sasuke cheers him up that even still, they're having an adventure outside the village like they always dreamed of. This does perk Naruto back up, and never one to mope, he is soon engaged in lively conversation with his buddy, while Sakura chats with Tazuna, and Itachi scouts slightly ahead with his crows to keep an eye out for danger. And it is a good thing that he does, as with his keenly tuned sight, Itachi spots a trap laid out for them, instructing his team to stop and observe it for themselves. At their sensei's instruction, the genin trio all converge to the front of the procession, examining the trap, which is a tripwire made of bladed chain, a gnarly thing that would most likely shred all their ankles and leave them to bleed out. That is if the trapper didn't finish them off first. Sakura, having reached this conclusion before the boys, shivers that this is what Itachi-Sensei meant about not being safe outside the village, while Sasuke states that it doesn't matter, since now they've seen the trap, all they need to do is disable it and they'll be fine. Another voice then chimes in from behind them that sure that would be the case. That is, unless the chain was actually a decoy to lead them into the real trap. Spinning round, they see a young man with snow-white hair leveling a sword at Tazuna, and as his face splits into a wide grin, they all see he also possesses shark teeth. Not hesitating for even an instant, Itachi lobs a trio of shuriken at the boy's wrist, throat, and heart, and though they do hit their mark thanks to the Jonin's unerring accuracy, they pass right through, as the impacted areas suddenly turn to water, allowing this unknown assailant to remain unharmed. This shocks the genin, who have never heard of anything like this before, but Itachi is worldly enough to recognize the technique of the Hozuki clan. However, something is not right, as despite being a Hozuki, the boy isn't wearing a hidden mist headband. In fact, the design on his headband is unlike any Itachi has ever seen before. It is a cloud, but not the abstract cloud design of the Hidden Cloud Village. Instead, it is a much more literal depiction, aside from the left end which bears a sharp point. Curious, Itachi asks what village the Hozuki is from, with the white-haired boy smirking that he wouldn't have heard of it yet, but it's gonna be big soon, and he's getting in on the ground floor by killing the bridge builder. With a slightly amused exhale, Itachi says that he's afraid not, and as his eyes flick to Tazuna, the boys do the same, only to see that he is gone, with the realization hitting all too late that he has been put under genjutsu. Meanwhile, Naruto, Sasuke and Sakura at Itachi's signal have pulled Tazuna to safety, and now all stand ready to defend him from all sides. And it is good that they do, as seeing that their compatriot has failed, two men also bearing this unknown headband burst from the tree line, each holding one end of the bladed chain and making a beeline for Tazuna. However, before they can get close, Sasuke shows off his newly acquired body flicker proficiency by appearing between the men and slicing their chain with his Kadachi before either can react. The youngest Uchiha then prepares to make similar short work of the men themselves, only to be stunned when the pair disengage their chain and lunge at him with bladed gauntlets. Thinking fast, Sasuke uses Kodachi along with its scabbard to block the blows, but this is at best a stopgap solution, as being a pair of grown men, the unknown assailants will soon surely overpower and skewer Sasuke. Thankfully, Naruto is not about to watch his best buddy die, and so in spite of the fear that fills him at the sight of real ninja trying to kill him and his allies, summons a trio of shadow clones, leaping onto the attackers' backs and attempting to pull them away from Sasuke. Mercifully, this works, allowing Sasuke to ready a follow-up attack, but before he can do any such thing, the two men throw the four Narutos off and take a defensive stance going back to back. At least, that's what Naruto and Sasuke think the men are doing, until suddenly they seem to meld together, becoming a four-armed, two-headed monstrosity. With a cackle, this creature then declares itself Meizu Gozu, grabbing its discarded chain fragments and using its mechanized gauntlets to turn them into a pair of chainsaws, which it brandishes at the boys. That is until Itachi steps in, his Sharingan flashing in a way that suggests he was allowing his students to test their mettle up until this point. But now that the danger is real, he has decided to step in. Knowing the raven-haired man's reputation, Meizu Gozu has no desire to fight Itachi, and so make the prudent decision to grab their watery ally and run. Sakura, who has remained by Tazuna's side in case more bad guys appear, asks her sensei if they should give chase, but with a shake of his head, Itachi replies that they have more pressing matters, his glare turning to the bridge builder. Bashfully, Tazuna explains himself, revealing that those men were probably hired by a gangster named Gato who's been trying to halt construction on a bridge that would threaten his monopoly on the goods and services within the Land of Waves. Sympathetically, Sakura calls this awful, but Itachi remains livid, asking if Tazuna knew there would be assassins coming after him. With a sigh, Tazuna nods, saying he suspected at the very least, but couldn't reveal that to Lord Third, since his people are impoverished by Gato, and so could only afford to pay for a C-rank mission. He then pleads that the Jonin has to understand he has a little grandson named Inari back home who is starving, and who has no future under Gato's reign. But before he can say more, he's cut off by Itachi, who growls that he understands perfectly. Tazuna is happy to put the lives of children at risk so long as they're not his own family. He is a pathetic and cowardly wretch. Everyone is shocked by this statement, having never seen this side of Itachi before, and are further stunned when Itachi tells his three students they're going home, since Tazuna lied about the scope of the mission, rendering their contract void. Tears in his eyes, Tazuna gets down on his knees and begs for Itachi to reconsider, but the Jonin's only response is silence. Sakura and Naruto aren't sure how to feel about this cold-hearted display, but Sasuke it seems has no such problem, telling his big brother they can't just turn back now, not when Tazuna and his people still need their help. Worry in his voice, Itachi reminds Sasuke that had he not intervened, Meizu Gozu would have killed him, but Sasuke retorts that he doesn't care. It's like Itachi said, there's no guarantee of survival when they go on a mission, and now that he's a real shinobi like his brother, that's a risk he's just going to have to take. And beyond that, he understands where Tazuna's coming from. If their roles were reversed and Itachi was trapped under the thumb of some criminal, he would do anything to save him, and he knows Itachi would do the same for him. Sighing that Sasuke is right, Itachi concedes to helping Tazuna, though he needs the absolute truth, since if he must risk the lives of his comrades, he will not do it blindly. The boat ride to the land of waves is a chilly one, and not just because of the sea fog. Itachi's killing intent towards Tazuna has not abated, merely being masked so that the smothering terror instead has been replaced by a general unease. No one says a word for the duration of the voyage, each shinobi taking lookout in a cardinal direction, with orders only to speak as it pertains to the mission. Mercifully, after only a few hours they pass under the shadow of Tazuna's half-finished bridge, heralding the final leg of their journey, and not long after that, they are back on the open road, the sun shining down upon them once more. As with the boat, the watch orders still stand, and the silence is only broken by Sakura, who thanks to feelings of inadequacy after the altercation with Meizu Gozu and the water boy, is on extremely high alert. She spots a faint rustling in one of the trees, and while Naruto dismisses this as probably just a squirrel, Itachi orders everyone to drop to the ground now. Itachi's more militant teaching style comes in handy here, as the genin waste no time obeying this order, with Itachi himself tackling Tazuna as a large blade whirls overhead, passing directly through the place Tazuna's neck was a moment ago. With a thunk, the blade then buries itself in a tree, and it is only while stationary that everyone realizes how massive it is, being about the size of a grown man from point to pommel. Body flickering into view, a shirtless man with a face bound in bandages appears atop the blade, glowering down at Tazuna and the Konoha contingent. With something between admiration and annoyance, he comments that it takes quick reflexes to dodge his executioner's blade, so Itachi's trained his students well. In a measured voice, Itachi replies that such skills are essential in the ninja world, asking if the man agrees, while addressing him as Zabuza Momochi, demon of the hidden mist. Hopping down from his perch and pulling the blade from the tree, Zabuza nods, though warns it will not be enough to protect those kids and the bridge builder from him. Itachi, however, seems unfazed, stepping between Zabuza and his group, and in a glacial voice replying that it may not be, but he is, since he will not allow his client or comrades to be killed, so he will give Zabuza a choice: abandon this contract and allow Tazuna to finish his work, or die. With a gruff chuckle, Zabuza retorts that once a ninja takes a mission he must complete it, so like it or not his path is set. Nodding, Itachi sighs that it seems so is his. Then with a body flicker to put Sasuke's to shame, he appears beside the assassin, kicking him in the face. This sudden attack leaves a boot print on Zabuza's cheek as he is sent skipping across the nearby lake, and not wasting a second, Itachi follows. Springing into action, Naruto, Sasuke and Sakura attempt to follow their sensei into battle, but looking back briefly, Itachi forbids this, ordering them to stay back and protect Tazuna. This momentary lapse in focus, however, is all it takes for Zabuza to launch a counterattack, riding himself in the water and weaving the hand signs for a water dragon jutsu. Hastily, Itachi responds with a fireball jutsu, with the two attacks meeting in the middle and turning the clear sky into a steamy fog. Cackling, Zabuza taunts that this was a mistake, since he is famed for his stealthy assassinations, and Itachi has just given him the cover he needs. Coldly, Itachi states that while this may be Zabuza's claim to fame, the rogue shinobi has forgotten his own vaunted ability, asking why it is the Uchiha clan is known by all and feared by all. Then from the steam, two burning red eyes burst to life. Slowly these eyes advance closer and closer to Zabuza, with Itachi commenting that were he not trying to conserve chakra, this fight would already be over. However, even without his Mangekyo Sharingan, he is more than a match for the type of filth who would betray his village. Growling at what he considers an unfair accusation, Zabuza swings his blade down on Itachi's head, splitting him in half and seemingly ending the cocky Jonin's life. That is until the silhouette of the leaf shinobi begins to warp, becoming a mass of crows who scatter into the air, while from behind him, Zabuza feels the sharp sting of a kunai being placed against his throat. In a low voice, Itachi orders Zabuza to throw down his weapon, but with a snarl the missing nin refuses, stating that he didn't expect to have to use this, but it seems the legends of the Sharingan's godlike power are true after all. Black markings then blossom all over Zabuza's body, and seeing that the point of origin is seemingly the man's neck, Itachi pulls his kunai away to find an inexplicable tattoo resembling the 3 tomoe of the Sharingan. Confused, he demands to know what this is, since Zabuza has no Titan Uchiha, but the only response he gets is a powerful blow to the stomach which forces him back. Clearly these markings are not just for show, as Zabuza has seemingly augmented his power tenfold, and as the Mist Deserter turns to face Itachi, his eyes are filled with undisguised animalistic bloodlust. And that's where we'll leave things for now. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave your thoughts, suggestions, or screams of rage in the comments below.